How's everybody doing today? You liking the seminars? You getting a lot of information? Okay. I'm here to talk about one very specific item. Okay. First, I am Van Connors. I own a company by the name of Connors Financial. We exist for one simple reason: to get funded your dream. That's a very simple thing to say. You know, everybody thinks I'm going to start a business. Where am I going to get my money? All these things go on in this conversation. At Connors Financial, and anybody who's good in the banking business is first going to do with you is we're going to say, stop. Let's have a conversation. Depending upon whose statistics you're looking at, 20 to 50% of businesses close in their first year. What is the number one reason? Undercapitalization, overcapitalization, improper loans that crucify the business so you're never able to take any money out of it. What do you think the second thing is? Everybody fails to ask one simple question. It's great to own a business, but how are you going to pay for your life for that first year? Think about it. And I tell you what, I've seen it today. You sit out there and somebody comes in, well, I'm going to make money out of the franchise. How long does it take to start earning the large dollars out of a franchise? Seriously. Do you think you're going to go the first day and make $1 million? In my experience, a number one closer of franchise is a stress factor. You're more worried about the $150 you need to pay Duke Energy than your business. And you get in a situation where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. The business gets ignored, it doesn't grow. Every decision you make is solely financial. And I've seen it get with people to where it's $10. I'm not going to do this because it's $10. And what happens? Business closes. You could have the best concept, the greatest location, you could have everything in your favor. But all you're fearing is money. You don't have the ability to pay your bills. And it happens a lot. I'm sorry, folks. If I disillusion somebody here, it happens a lot. Okay? So how do we, on the front end, make sure we don't get into that situation? We properly capitalize the business. Great statement. Let me take you through a scenario. You call me up today and say, okay, Van, this is a franchise I want. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there and say, okay, let's have a conversation. I don't want to talk to you about the loan or anything else. Let's have a conversation. What are your goals? What are the financial goals? The other one, though, a lot of franchisees miss is the true cost of the franchise. The franchisors will tell you the general cost because geography, everything comes into play about where your franchise is located. It may cost $1,000 to rent a space in this city. It might cost $2,000 to rent the same space in another city. So what's the realized cost? The franchisors are doing nothing wrong. They have to use generalities because they can't make it for every city. This is where we get specific. Where are you? What are your goals? What's your life going to cost? What's going to be the proper funding? What's going to be, all these things have to come into place. And I hate to say it, all my years in banking and running companies, etc., that's the conversation that never happens. As a businessman, that should be the first conversation you have. I spend a lot of time talking to people opening new businesses and franchises, even before they're signing the paperwork. We're getting a game plan in place. Okay? We know the real figures. So I don't loan you too much money. I don't loan you not enough money. Let's get it so where you can do one thing in that first year. Focus on your business solely. I can tell you with the systems and the franchisees I see out here and from these relationships, if you have the ability to solely focus on the business, your bills are paid, everything else, you've got that game plan in place, you will be successful. That 20 to 50% goes away. But that has to be done. So what does that look like? Everybody tells me, well, where are you going to get the money? I'm going to go to the bank. I'm going to go right on down to Bank of America, and they're going to give me a big old stack of money. Wrong. Traditional banking has changed drastically, and it's going to change even more over the next 5 years. Brick and mortar banks are going to be gone as you know them. I was on a conference call with Wells Fargo the other day. Over the next 5 years, 25% of their branches are going to have to be closed because banking has changed. Out of that, they're going to retain 10% of employees into the system of their bank. 90% are going to be laid off, so they're going to have finance packages. Let's keep going down the line. Not to mention dead assets. By the way, if you're thinking about moving into a building that used to be a bank for your franchise, you might have a good shot at a cheap one. But that's what's going on. Banks never lent you money anyway. Equity firms, equity funds bought the loans, just like your mortgage. That's who's lending you the money. And banks with laws and everything else that's going on are getting so tight. Everybody asks me, well, isn't money tight right now? No. No, sir. It's not. It's tight with banks because of what they're in. The equity funds that used to buy the notes from the banks and have the banks service them are still alive and very well. I talk about loans that are anywhere from $100,000 up to $15, $20 million every day. Okay? But there's a plan. Remember the plan I talked about? So we sit down and we talk, and I say, hey, let's talk about what your business is going to do. Let's take a look at the hard numbers. How are you going to pay for your life? How are you going, or you've got all these things covered. And once we take that all into consideration, we come up with a plan. I have over 150 funds that give me money to lend. I get you with. And I find out, guess what? I'm in this industry over here. Let's say I'm a gas station. Okay? There are specific equity funds that want to deal in that business. So they're more comfortable with your note. I get on a phone and we sit there and we get a couple of offers, not one. If you live with just one offer on a loan or a funding that you're trying to get, you are making the biggest mistake of your life. I'm going to say it again. You are making the biggest mistake of your life. And here's why. There are so many funds and ways and sweet spots for certain funds where they want to invest their money. Hey, who's going to give me the best deal? Who's going to give me the deal that works best with my long-term plan? And that's something we've already had that conversation I've had with you, right? We've already talked about it. Maybe it's a longer term, a shorter term, lower interest rates, a little slightly higher. What is it going to be? The only thing I can tell you out of all my experience is there is no such thing as a cookie cutter loan. But everybody seems to think that every loan is cookie cutter. I have to fit into the loan. Let's change how we look at it. Let the loan fit the business, not the business fit the loan. That is a huge statement. I've run companies in my life of thousands upon employees. I've used so many lending vehicles myself personally for the companies I've run. You're going to be hard pressed to come tell me, well, how does this work? I'm going to tell you from experience how it works. But I can tell you this as an absolute fact. When the loan fits the business, the odds of success are greater. So let's go shop. Let's go get 3 or 4 people to get our loan, okay? You're doing this, let's say you're buying the exact same franchise as this man. You're in a different city though, right? One fund likes to loan in this state or city. The other fund, it doesn't like to loan in this state or city. It is that intricate, guys. Loans are literally that intricate to where we dial it to what it needs to be for you and for the lender. Because a comfortable lender will work with you if there's hard times or tough times a lot better than a brick and mortar bank who squeezed you in to their mold of financing. I have relationships with all my clients. I love it when they call and tell, even just call and say, hey, you know what's going great, this, and just laugh. People call me an old world banker. I'm old, so I guess I'm halfway there. I look like Santa Claus, my wife tells me. I got a bag of money, I guess. I don't know, somebody told me. But you see what I'm saying? How do we make it personal? How do we make it personal so your business is set up for success? This, ladies and gentlemen, if you ask me, out of everything, all my experience in life, everything in lending and borrowing, all those things, do your homework. Be honest with yourself. Look at the numbers. The numbers have to match the model, otherwise you're uncomfortable. You will not be a good manager if you're uncomfortable. You will go into panic modes and fear modes that are dangerous, and you will make bad decisions. You have to set up for success. And this is what financing looks like. So let's talk about financing itself. How many ways are there to finance a business? Anybody want to take a guess at that? Give me a number. How many ways can you finance a business? Nobody? Come on, somebody's got to guess.
SBA loan.
Okay, what type? SBA 7, SBA 504. SBA loan 7, you can borrow up to $5 million. 504, you can borrow up to $13 million. Okay, there's one. What about asset lending? Guess what? I've got this asset that I can borrow against. Hard money, we call that. Okay? Let's say the business I'm buying needs a lot of equipment. Finance the purchase of the equipment. Equipment leasing. We actually have vehicles right now where if you've got existing equipment and you need money, we'll go in and buy that equipment from you and lease it back to you. Really? Yes. And there are more and more things like that. We have funding for accounts receivable, accounts payable, we have inventory loans, we have asset loans, we have loans that we have a whole branch that specifically deals with franchisees. Because they know the business and they love the business and they love the return and they love the people. So here's what we've got. We've got all these options. We figured out what you need. Okay, we've talked about a good game plan. We've got your financial game plan in place. You get the franchise. You're going through great the first year. You're going through great the second year. You want to grow the third year. Or let's say you have a bad third year. This is where the key is. You still pick up the phone and you call one place, because whether it's a tough time, we love to hear about the good times, I'm going to tell you that. We've got solutions. And how can we sit down and look at things very directly? How many people come from the banking world here? 2. Who? These guys know there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Don't you? How tough is it to refi a mortgage right now? If you're under. Not going to happen. That's not true in business. We can help. We can adjust. We can believe what you need. Now, I know everybody in this room, you're going to ask me one question. Let's see if I'm a good mind reader. Hey, I used to watch Karnak on Johnny Carson. The answer is, what percentage? What's the loan rate percentage? I'm going to give you one simple answer to that, and please listen closely here. Don't ever ask a banker what the rate is. Okay? For an A loan, I'll get you, for A credit, I'll give you an A loan. For B credit, I'll give you a B loan. For C, you see what I'm saying? Everybody is different. What do you bring to the table? The number one thing I've seen by a lot of businesses, and I love my job because I deal with a lot of very large companies. And they want to do something or change something, and it's still an LLC, so we need the financials and the credit resources of, quote unquote, the principals. Principals of companies that are poorly planned have the worst credit rating on God's green earth. You know why? Everything's been about the business. They wouldn't borrow everything they've done. So guess what? Well, I can't get a loan. Yes, you can. We have systems to help set you up. I have one lending group that I deal with, and I love them to death, especially for people who have rough credit, because they will put you through a program and they will package you into a loan with all the work that they do. So when you come out the other end, you've got a loan. And trust me, I've seen guys who own $1 million businesses bring me a 520 credit score. Wow. Don't let where you are and that fear change your decision to go out and create a business. Do not. Because there's a loan for everybody. Remember what I told you at the beginning? Money's not tight, folks. Money ain't tight. There's even some fundings that I get offerings on that I even kind of get a shock on. And there's some fundings that I've gotten information back on. And even though it was the goal that that person wanted, I had to sit down and talk to them and say, look, let's take a look at the long-term health. This is what it's going to do to you over time. That loan was thrown away and we went and got another one. If you can take one thing out of what I say here today, and now I'm going to open it up for questions. One thing, plan. Work with professionals. You guys have a team on your side. If you have a lawyer, a franchise lawyer, I know if you're going to franchise, I hope you talk to a franchise attorney to represent you and read all the documents. You probably have an accountant or a bookkeeper. Your banker should definitely be involved in there. And yourself. You've got experts. You've got team members that help you succeed. Wow, that's some scary stuff. Lean hard on them. It's not about getting you a loan today, it's about the relationship that we can create. Every one of my clients I've over the years, I've seemed to have done multiple loans with. I don't know why. And it's because I'm part of their team. One of my favorite quotes in this industry right here. The secret to getting ahead is just getting started. You guys are here today. So you're telling me what you want to do. Use your experts, use your teams, talk to the franchisors, talk to this. But if you want, talk to me. Let's talk about how we fund your goal. That's what Connors Financial does. All my people are trained to sit there and talk with you and listen to you. 90% of what we're going to do is ask you questions. Why are we going to do that? I want to know what you want. And in the financial world, I've learned something. People aren't real good being able to express that. Look for a financial expert who's your partner. Because they don't want just that one loan. They want the loan when you grow, when you expand, or you go to become a franchise, or all these things. The secret to getting ahead is getting started. Anybody have any questions? Really? Now my feelings are hurt. I don't have one stinking question. I'm gonna start asking myself questions here in a minute, guys. I just don't know about it. Okay, how did you get so good looking? I know. Aren't I just fabulous? Yes, ma'am.
When When you're starting a business and you mentioned about making sure that you have enough money, not only for the business, but also for your living expenses.
Correct.
How do you, go through funding that whole thing to make sure that, especially during that first year,
Mhm.
that you have enough money to live on as well as for
That's where somebody like myself comes in, because we're gonna talk about your personal, we're gonna talk about what you need. A lot of these funds, depending upon the loan, the vehicle we use, we can make sure that the funds are available within the loan itself. Okay? That is what the key is. Every loan is different, but if you come to me and say, hey, my franchise costs $100,000. It costs me $50,000 a year to live. To boil it down in simplicity, let's go get a $150,000 loan. Let's say there's going to be another $25,000 that you have to outlay out of pocket. Let's go get a $175,000 loan. Are we securing against asset, machinery, equipment, against the franchise? There's so many things. There's so many working parts. That's what I want to narrow down for you. I do it for small businesses every day. I do it for large businesses. This guy finished doing a hotel, $13 million. Guy wanted to build a hotel. He got a Holiday Inn Express franchise. See, I stayed there. That's why I'm so brilliant. I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express. But you see what I'm saying? Let's take that, if we can build it into that system. Because remember, the number one killer of small business is fear. When you start forgetting about your business and worrying about paying the Duke Energy bill, you will start to have other problems. Any other questions? No? You nod a lot. You gotta have a question in there.
What kind of lenders do you have?
What type of lenders? I have 150 different lenders. It depends upon the sweet spot that you're looking for. I've got lenders that love to loan to franchises because that's what they understand. They love certain geographic areas because that's where they feel the best. What we do, and that's what I'm saying, the biggest part about getting this loan together is finding who is your sweet spot lenders. Okay, you're telling me I'm in Orlando, Florida. Okay, that dwindles the list. I'm doing a franchise, that dwindles the list. I'm doing a franchise in this, that dwindles the list. Next thing you know, I've got 3 guys to talk to. You see what I'm saying? Instead of going to the bank saying, I want this. No. Get in the sweet spot. It is, you'll hear that from financial people a lot. The sweet spot. Every bank has one. I got one lending source that loves to do SBA 7s we talked about here. They're so good. Has anybody ever tried to do an SBA 7 hands? Anybody ever tried to do this? You know what an SBA loan is?
Yep.
No? Okay. If you go to Bank of America today to do an SBA 7 loan, it's probably going to take you 6 to 8 months, and it's going to change so much in that process.
They don't do it. Bank of America don't do that.
Not anymore, they don't. I have private lenders who I have closed SBA 7 loans that are very close to $5 million in 36 days.
Wow.
Is there a lot of money out there these days, guys? Yeah.
Are the SBA loans good or bad?
It's going to depend upon your model, and it's going to depend upon whether asset is going to have to be required or not. SBA loans, SBA 7 is one of the most popular loan vehicles used in America today. And it is a good loan because it kind of caters to what you're doing. You're coming to me saying, I'm starting a business, or if you're an existing business, I'm growing a business. That's what it's modeled for. Your participation in that loan is going to have a lot of factors that come into play. Oh, I like this. Do you guys like one of those clipper things that goes to? Oh, I'm getting it from the bag. I love this. Any other questions?
Over here.
Yes.
Outside of credit, what do you
The number one thing they look for is how do you show that you're going to repay the loan? Okay? Because it's easy to lend money, but there's another side of that. I gotta pay the money back. This isn't your friend Bob coming in and asking to borrow $50. Okay? So what we look at, when we get started, if you called me, we have our conversation, the first thing I'm gonna do is ask you for some documents. We're gonna get some ideas of how to start, where to go. That's important, guys. But that is gonna dictate the amounts, the dollars, et cetera, that we're gonna be able to play with. The amount of risk the bank or the lender is willing to take is directly reflected by a lot of data. So, but I tell you what, I've never been able to not get somebody a loan. It may not have been a loan that's been good for them, or I would tell them to take, and there's some I've told them, do not take it. Guess what? But I can get everybody a loan.
That's awesome.
Anything else? All right, guys, you know what? Thanks a lot. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Quick question.
Yes.
If there's somebody applying for E2 visa, would they be able to get an SBA loan?
Yeah, they're not SBA. I can go to the private sector and find a loan for them.
Even the E2 and they have properties abroad?
Well, we're gonna have to take that on a case by case because the documentation you need to file back on that, can it be done? Yes, that's a simple answer. But that is actually a situation where we're gonna have to go through a checklist to make sure what is in place for that. But can you get an SBA? Yes. Okay?
Good job.